The free Photoshop course that you're about to watch is just a small part of our Adobe Graphics full course bundle. So if you also want to master Adobe Illustrator with my teaching style and also be able to acquire your certificate of completion, you can tap the first link in the description right now and get your access with a fraction of cost. Also mentionable that this course is brought up to you by the Takeoff College, the smartest alternative currently available to the traditional education. With all that being said, I'm very excited to get started, so let's go. View section. So that's it with navigation inside Adobe Photoshop. Now, after all, I want to go through a very important concept which is essential when we are talking about Photoshop or Illustrator or most of the same kind of software. So in most of the graphic related and design related softwares that we have, this concept comes very often, and that concept is the concept of layering. So whenever we are working on a design, whenever we are working on a visual, there's layers to the game. And these layers go over or under each other, and these layers define our view and what we are seeing. So there may be 10 objects that are filling, for example, this part of our project or artboard or whatever you may call it. So we have a document, and in this specific part of our canvas, there are 10 objects, and the one that we will see is the one that is upper than all of them. So this is how layers work, basically. All those back objects do exist and are there, but we cannot see them just because they are behind the front object that we have. And this concept is controlled and managed by the panel or window or whatever you may call it. We call it a panel in Photoshop, by the panel layers. So we have this layers over here. As you see, it is open for me and I have it and I can use it. But if you can't find it inside your workspace, all you need to do is that you need to come to Window and click Layers or press F7 on your keyboard, and then the Layers panel will be visible for you and you will be able to make your changes over here. So as you see, this image that I have opened in my Photoshop is only and only one layer, which is called background, and the layer is locked, as you see. Now, if I come here and create a new document, for example, I already created one, but I want this one not to have any artboards in it. And I set a sizing here, for example, 1920 and 1080. And yes, I click create. And here, again, we have a project, we have a document opened in layers. Again, as you see, we have a background which is locked, just like what we had here. So if I come and drag this selection that I have created through that selection tools that we went through, and I click and drag it and bring it to this other document that I have opened over here, as you see, one layer will be added over the other layers that I have, and now this one is not locked. So this means that I can move it, I can add or remove parts to it, I can easily resize it. So how we do that is by choosing the layer and pressing Ctrl T, and I will be able to make changes to the size of it. So I need to zoom out, as you see, because our element is big, our object, and using these handles I will be able to change its size and make it smaller, as you see. And by pressing this check, it will be applied. So I press Ctrl 0, and as you see, this is our object, we can freely move it around, and we have it and we can see it in the layers panel that we have over here. So whatever object that you create or import, so it doesn't matter that you import it or you create it. What do I mean by creating objects? We will talk about that in this lesson that we are inside. There are tools that provide us with the ability to create certain objects, certain shapes, or certain texts inside our project. And every of those objects, every of those tools that we create, and every of those objects that we make or build, all of them will be added to this layers panel and will be controllable and manageable over here. So inside layers, we have plenty of concepts. So one of them is grouping, beforehand, let me add a shape over here. I know that you are not familiar with it, and we are going to get familiar with it, but now I just need that in order to teach you some things inside this layers tab. So now that I have created this rectangle, as you see, one layer is added to the top of all the layers that I have. And now, in order to make the bag visible, make all of the parts of the bag visible, and send this rectangle to the back of this bag, all I need to do is that I need to come to layers, and as you see, I click and drag, and by dragging I can position these layers the exact way that I want them to be positioned. So this is the first thing that you need to understand. This is how you can change the position to every layer of yours. So let me add another shape over here. I'm sorry that I am using things that you don't know, these shapes. These are easy concepts, but we will go through them completely. Just I need to add these 3 layers over here, and as you see now we have 3 of those layers. I don't count the locked one so far. I will say why a little bit further, but we have these 3 layers, as you see, and now we can click, drag, and position these 3 related to each other. So I can send this red one to the back of all, or I can bring it over the bag and back of this black rectangle, or I can bring it over all other layers that we have over here. So this is basically positioning and placing the layers in the order that we prefer and in the order that we want. Another important concept when it comes to layering is grouping. So sometimes you want these 2 objects to be merged. Sometimes you want these 2 objects to be separated from each other, to stay separated from each other, but you will be able to make group changes and grouped moves and same stuff to them. So these are 2 completely different concepts. One of them is merging, one of them is layering, and let me teach you both. We start by merging, right? So in order to merge 2 layers with each other, all you need to do is that you need to select those 2 objects or layers or whatever they are, and after making your selection, so in order to do that you need to click on this and pressing Control, click on the other one, and by that you will be able to select both. And as you see, when I move, I'm moving both. In order to merge these 2 layers, all I need to do is that I need to right click, and here, as you see, we have merge shapes. By clicking that, it will merge those shapes, but as you see, it changed them a little bit. Why? This also refers to the concept of shapes and what they are, because they are separated different types of objects inside Photoshop. So I press Ctrl Z in order to go back in my change. So as you saw, the shapes were merged. Now I want the layers to be merged. So I can right click again, and here I can click Merge Visible. Okay, this is another option that we have. Merge visible will merge all the layers you have and combine them with the background, as you see, with the locked background that you have, and it will make this project a locked project, you know. Now it's like an image. You can't make any changes like you could before. So again, I press Ctrl Z. But as well as these two options that we had, we also can press Ctrl E, and look at here. When I press Ctrl E, this is what happens, as you see. So it basically does this merge thing that we had over here. And the same thing happens. So I can merge two layers. Doesn't matter what they are. They can be texts, they can be shapes, they can be images, they can be different from each other. So I can merge a text with an image. I can merge a text with a shape, and all of them are possible. And all I need to do in order to do that is that I need to just come over and select those two layers of mine and press Ctrl E, and as you see, the merge will occur, and these two layers are now merged. So this is the concept of merging, but a lot of the times you don't want them to be merged, because merging two layers can be dangerous, because can limit your possibilities, because you are losing a lot, you know. You're losing the individual control that you had on each layer by merging those layers with each other. Sometimes you just need to move them with each other, you know, or make your make your light changes and not that big changes on them together. Just need to identify them as layers that are related to each other. And then the concept of grouping comes at the table. So in order to group two layers, again, you need to come here and select them. But here we have multiple options. First is that we can come over and click on this create new group, this button over here, this little button. And as you see, these two are now grouped, but they are moved individually. Why? Because here in the settings of my move tool, I can change this auto select settings to group, and then as you see, these will be moved in groups, and groups will be a priority when it comes to the selection of my move tool. So we have this up. We also can do another thing. So I press Ctrl Z. Another option that we have in order to group these two. Let me see. Do we have it over here? Yes. We can right click and click group from layers. As you see, again, this will provide us with the option and with the ability to group these two. We also can select them and press Ctrl G. You know, these are the beauty of Adobe softwares, and especially Photoshop, that we have plenty of ways in order to reach a certain goal that we have. So we have a goal, and there's different paths to it, and you can choose whatever that you are easier with. So you can either come here and click this button, or right click and click group from layers, or press Ctrl G, you know, whatever that you want. And as you see, groups as well as layers can have colors. I'll talk about it. And we have name to the group. So as you see, I say my group and press OK. And as you see, here we have my group. So what are these colors that we have? These colors are not anything related to the design and are not visible, are not even visible inside the project. And all that they are for organizing the files whenever we are using this layers panel, and it will organize them for us. For example, we want certain layers or layers related to a certain topic or certain part of our project to be a certain color, and we can do that easily by right clicking on each layer or group. And here we can select either no color or red, orange, yellow, green, and those colors that it provides us with, as you see. so we can organize them. Now I choose them all by clicking here, pressing shift and clicking on the last one, and by right clicking I choose no color, and all of them will be set to no color. As you see, layers as well as groups have names over here, and in order to rename them you can easily come over and right click, and let me see, do we have it here? Hold on, I am not seeing it, but we may have it on the right click as well. But the other way is by double clicking on the name of the layer. This is very easy and it will be renameable. And this name, as well as the color of layers and everything like that, will not be visible inside the project itself, will be only for the accessibility of us and the other designers that are going to work on this project. So these are all about organizing layers. I can rename it easily by double clicking, as you saw, and I can name it whatever I want. For example, I say the layer, and by pressing enter it will be changeable. We can change anything over here, as you see, any of the names, or I can double click on the group even and change the name to the group, rename it. As you see, I say the new name over here. Yes, so this is it. Another concept, another important concept that I wanted to talk about, and I did talk about, was whenever you create an object inside Photoshop, that object will be created and built in a new layer. You also can create a new blank layer yourself in the layers panel whenever you want to do something specific. And how you do that is by coming here and clicking on this little plus button. And if I click that, as you see, we have a layer. The layer is empty. So in Photoshop, how we show emptiness and how we show nothing is not by the white color, because white is something itself. How we show nothing is by this chessboard-like thing that you see over here. So it is squares in white and gray, and this will show nothing. This will mean transparency. So as you see, this layer that I created is an empty layer. It has nothing inside it, and I can add things inside it. For example, the brush. How the brush works is that it doesn't create a new layer. It works on the same layer that you choose over here. So in order to draw something and separate it from other layers, you need to choose the brush, create a new layer just like I did, and draw in that blank layer. So these are all related to brush and same tools that we have not gone through yet, but we will. So back to where we were, we also could create new layers. We can delete layers by clicking them and clicking on this little delete button. As you see, it says delete layer 1. Yes. And as you see, nothing changed because the layer was blank. But if I, for example, come here and delete the bag, you will see that the bag is gone because it was in that specific layer that we deleted. So I press Ctrl Z and everything is back to default. Another important thing that I need to mention here inside layers is cloning a layer. So as the name says, by cloning a layer, we are creating a new one out of it. We are copying it. And in order to do that, all you need to do is that you need to choose this move button and press Alt. And as you see, my cursor is now changed to these two cursors, this specific look that it will get. So it will change to this, and by clicking and dragging I will be able to make a clone out of my layer, just like you see. So I need to press Alt, click and drag, and as you see, these copies are created. So I press Ctrl Z in order to go back. Another way that we can do that is by choosing the layer that we want to clone and pressing Ctrl J. And Control J does the same for us, as you see. So it created a clone. As although it's not visible, all I need to do to make it visible, to see it, I need to click and drag, and after I move it, as you see, these are now 2 because I pressed Control J. So by Control Z, we're again back to where we were. The next thing that we have in the layers panel is layer options, which are very important. And in order to reach that settings and options of each layer, we need to right click on it. And let me see. I'm not good with these right clicks, because I am used to the shortcuts. But yes, it was the first one. It was blending options. So by right clicking on each layer and going through its blending options, as you see, you will reach a window which is called layer style, and it will be very, very useful. It may be one of the most used things that you are learning in this lesson about Photoshop, is this layer style. So it provides us with plenty of settings. We can add textures to our layer. We can add stroke to our layer. So let me do that with this bag over here. So if I, for example, head over to the stroke part and check the stroke, as you see, I can set its color. So I say I want it to be green, something like this. And here we have a size. So if I increase the size, as you see, I'm adding a stroke to my bag. It's very important. We can add multiple strokes. So by clicking on this little add button, this little plus, as you see, I say my second stroke, I want it to be orange, and I increase the size. So as you see, I have 2 strokes now. I have a stroke for my stroke, its position and other settings that we have. For each of these options and styles, we have inner shadow, inner glow, we have color overlay. So this color overlay is also a very used one. And what it does is that, as you see, it fills the layer that we have, whatever it is, with only a color. So you can, for example, come here, clone your layer. So I say Control J and change its place a little bit. And by coming to the back layers layer style, as you see, I can set its color overlay. And as you see, it's something like a shadow, or something like that. And these styles are all available. I said shadow. We also have shadow inside the layer style itself. So it provides us with drop shadow, as you see, or inner shadow. And all of those stuff are available in this layer style panel. So it was reachable by right clicking and heading over to blending options, or by double clicking on the layer. So if we double click on the name of the layer, it will be renamed. But if we double click somewhere else, so here, for example, we will be headed forward to the layer style panel. Another important thing that we have inside this layers panel is opacity. So as you see, we can change the transparency or opacity of this layer, of each layer. It is in %. And if I, for example, bring this up and bring it over this group that I had, sorry, I want it to be out of the group. Yes, as you see, although the bag is over my other objects, but the other objects are still visible because the opacity of my layer just changed. We also have blending modes. So blending modes are basically about, as it says, blending and mixing the layer of mine with the layers behind it or the other layers. So it is about the behavior of this layer with the other ones, and is called blending mode. So I bring this back over those squares or rectangles, yes. And here we have a list of blending modes. As you see, the default one is normal. So when it's normal, they do not mix, they do not blend. But I can change it to each of these options that we have. We can multiply, we can use multiply, darken, color burn, linear burn, or anything like that. And as you see, our photos will be blended to each other. And this is another power of this layers panel we're talking about. Layers is very important, and you are seeing the importance. One of them is color mode, blend modes that we have over here. So I set it back to normal,